Thank you. Thank you once again for joining us on Moment of Truth. Over to you, Nade.
Thank you so much. So today we are going to be talking. My name is Nadia Ashton, of course, and my co-host is David Digbody, and my other co-host Dr. Prissy.
Hi, this is Prissy. Thanks for joining us again tonight.
Okay, so today we are going to be talking about, and it's May, and we all know about Mother's Day, family. So we're going to be talking about love, marriage, relationship. That is a very heavy topic. So in the month of May, that's what we're going to be focusing on, and we just really want to talk about it in a way that moment of truth. You really want to hear some of the truth, some of the aspect of it that I don't think we look at or we think about. And so when you are talking about it, it helps you to put everything into perspective. And so the first thing we just really want to talk about is the relationship as a whole. So I personally think that family is where we start building, or where we start learning about relationship. We are born into a family. We don't choose our family. So when you are born into that family, you learn to adapt into certain things about that family. And that is how you have that interpersonal relationship or the strategy in dealing with that family or that skill set that help us. So David Jigbadi, what do you think about when it comes to family? What are some of the challenges or struggles that we learn from our family that really we carry through? Because you work with children, so do you think our family really shape our lifestyle that much in our informative years?
Yes. Thank you so much. Very, very much. It shapes us a lot. And I think that what I've noticed is how transparent your family is, um, helps you learn how to cope and how to um, relate with people. So let me use these two scenarios. One family where the child is sheltered so much that they don't tell the truth. For example, the child does something. I remember when I was growing up, you do something and you get the reality check. Like, I apologize for something I did because maybe my mom explained to me that I was wrong, and I apologize. And then she's like, okay, you've apologized, but then what good does that do? Whatever you've put out there is still out there. Like, you can't take the words, the bad words that you have already said. You can't take it out. This is why you have to think about what you say before you say it. So somehow it is helping to shape you in the future. What do you say in the future? There's another family where you say sorry and they behave as if that fixes everything or that's okay. And so you grow up thinking that you can do anything and say sorry and that's okay. And I'm glad that in this generation, most children know that's not okay because, you know, sometimes a child does something and apologizes to the other child, and the other child is like, so what? Like, that hasn't changed anything. And I'm like, this is the reality check that some people never got while growing up. So they think it's just okay to say sorry. But after you have said sorry, whatever you did is still out there. So I think just learning how to relate to people, we get the real thing, the real deal from our families. And let's take even our professional environments. People do things that we all know this is not right, but they are not family members, so you don't say anything. Because in the professional environment, you also saying something, it's unprofessional. You know, it's like some things you just have to learn from your family. So it is good to know as family people that the children around us, we don't just have to cuddle and make them, we always don't want them to feel bad or something. They'll grow up being, what do they call that, doctor? Is it psychopath or sociopath or whatever is it called? But they grow up not knowing, like, they just can't relate with people. If you've worked with people that you just wonder, why
Fantastic.
don't they know this is not okay? I think it's the upbringing. So yes, family really, really helps a lot because that's where you can get the real deal. Nobody's trying to be too nice. They're just being real. Yes.
Thank you so much, Davi. Dr. Prissy, family relationship, how does that help our children? Because I know you have three girls. How
Yes.
do you see your upbringing affecting how you raise your own children? And what are some of your expectations? Because as a parent, you always always have expectation if we don't say it.
Yeah. So family is, I mean, that's like very critical, right? I feel like everything that we do on this earth, where this earth is concerned, we're not even talking about eternity, right? Just this,
Right.
I think that everything we do for our families on this earth. Our families is what it drives us to do the things that we do. And I believe that family, as it stands, is really having that unit that you know loves you unconditionally, despite your shortcomings, despite your faults, despite your flaws. Family is the only unit that will love you no matter what. When everybody has left you, it's always your family who's there for you. I had a very wonderful childhood. I'm fortunate to have grown up in a two-parent home, and I say fortunate because in this day and age, growing up in a two-parent home has become very challenging just because of all the dynamics that happen within a family unit. And so that was super, super helpful to me, having my dad, having my mom. And I know that there were times that my dad drove my mom crazy. And there are times that she wanted out of the marriage because she had had it up to here, right? But she stayed,
Mhm.
and she stayed because of us. She stayed because of our children. And I remember there was a time that things were very, very hard for my parents. And my mom's friend had traveled and returned from the US. And at the time, it was very easy. If somebody wanted to travel from Ghana to the US or UK, wherever, it was an easier process, nothing like it is today. And her friend advised her to, come with her to the US. She said you can have a better life, you can come back for your kids. And she was like, wait a minute, who am I leaving my kids with? Like, are you kidding me? And she was like, well, I went and I left my kids, and she said, but what's going to happen with your kids? Like, don't you care what happens to them? I mean, it was an opportunity for her, right? She could have gone. Things were very hard, but she decided to stay. She decided to turn that opportunity down because of her children, because she saw in her children her future. And she said, if I leave, my husband cannot handle these kids. 5 children, he cannot handle those. My dad was the breadwinner. My dad was a breadwinner, and my mom was a stay-home mom. So if she left, what was going to happen to these kids? She said, my kids will be, oh my goodness, I don't even want to think about it. So she turned it down and she stayed for her kids. And today, anytime I talk to her, I said, Mom, you know what? I'm so happy that you didn't leave us, that you stayed, because I don't even know where I would have been.
Mhm.
And she says, yep, you always stay, you fight. You fight for your marriage. You fight no matter what it is. Now, unless you have a cheating man in the house or a husband who is just beating you down, anything outside of these two, you stay and you fight. And she said, even in cheating marriages, sometimes there are situations where people fight, okay, because people have invested so much into that marriage and they're not going to sit there for another woman to come and take it away. And she said, I did not have any of these issues, but my issues were just, I just wanted him to pay attention to me. My dad was a workaholic, and he just never paid attention to my mom because he was always working. He was all about the work, and that my mom had it. And when times got tough, she had really, really had it, because even when times got tough that he was available, he was really technically not available because he was always thinking about work, right? So that has really, really shaped me. And I said to myself that when I grow up and I get married, no matter what, and I pray it's not a situation of a cheating marriage, and it's not a situation of the husband is beating me down. Well, you can't beat me down. I'm too vocal.
You can fight your way through, huh?
I said, no matter what, I'm going to fight to keep a two-parent home, because that is so important, and that instilled in me. And I don't know what would have happened to me had my father not been the disciplinarian that he is. I don't know. I would have probably gone wayward, because my father was really very strict. He was a headmaster, and he was a very strict one. I remember when I was, I think I was 12. No, I was 10. No, 12. And I remember because I was in Form 3, I was 12. And I was in the same school with my little brother. And my brother was in a boarding house and I was a day student. And I remember one of my girlfriends told me, she was like, Mommy, come this Saturday. We're having a fun fair. It's going to be really nice. You should be here. And I said, I don't think my daddy's going to let me out of the house. She said, well, just come up with something. I said, okay, I'll figure it out. So I I went home and I told my dad that, and this was a Friday. So when I went home, I said, well, tomorrow, which would be the Saturday, which was the fun fair day, I said, I need to go to the school. And he was like, what are you going to do? It's a weekend and you were a day student. And I said, well, we're having into houses and I'm running. I'm running. So I need to be there. And my dad was like, you're running. When did you, first of all, I look like this. Okay. And, and my dad was like, when were you doing this running? When were you doing rehearsals that I never heard anything about? Mind you, my dad is a headmaster. He knows everything about what happens in schools. So I said, well, I am. Yeah, I rehearsed at school and I'm going tomorrow to do the fun fair, to do the participating into houses. So he looked at me like, okay. Then I went upstairs to get ready, right? As I was upstairs, I heard my brother's voice downstairs. I said, wait a minute, did he come home? Because he's in boarding school. I said, wait a minute, is that my brother's voice? And sure enough, it was, because I heard my father asking him, Finney, bruh, what's happening at the school today? And he was like, nothing. I'm coming from there. I don't know that anything is happening. He said, is there some inter-houses going on there? My brother was like, no inter-houses, nothing like that. Okay. So he called me. I mean, I already knew I was dead, right? Because I heard the whole conversation. So I came downstairs and my father was standing there with his hands behind his back. And anytime you see him in that position, he got a long cane behind him. That's what, when I saw that look, I already knew what that meant. So he was like, well, your brother is here and he tells me there's nothing happening at the school. So what were you going to do there again? I was just didn't have anything to say. And my daddy took hold of me. 12 strokes of cane. I never forget. 12 in my little back. And when I went to school that day, the Monday, my girlfriend was like, Mommy, that's number. Why didn't you come? I said, girl, don't even go there with me. From here on, I don't want to hear anything about inter-houses. And that got to me so much that even when I became older in college, when I went to college where I had the freedom, right, to do whatever I wanted to do because my parents weren't there, I didn't have to ask permission. I never participated in any of those things. It just completely, that experience, I mean, my goodness, that experience. I remember even when I came to the United States, my roommate was like, I've never seen you go to a club. I said, me, club, you would never catch me. I always. So I'm telling you, that discipline that we get from our parents, especially our fathers. And I know some of the fathers are some families, some of the fathers are a little more like the lenient party, and the mom is the strict one. And in my situation, my mom was the lenient one and my dad was a strict one. But whatever the case may be, it doesn't matter who is. But you need that in a family, because if it's not a 2-parent home and then you only have one, and it's just unfortunate that just happens. And so the mother or the father now has to be both, right? And that's very, very challenging. And so, I mean, that is something that I instill the discipline. My husband grew up a little differently. He had 2 lenient parents. So that, so, but he still turned out to be the disciplinarian for whatever reason. I don't know. So I tend to be a little lenient with them. But my husband is the one that's the disciplinarian, but it works so well. And I feel that we impart that to our children. And we do that, because of the foundation that we have.
Thank you so much, Dr. Prissy. I like your story dynamics. We don't even see how the foundation of our childhood really affects how we carry ourselves when it comes to relationship.
Yep.
So thank you for that story because it really helped. So let's talk about even the interpersonal relationship that we have with each other. I think even the way we talk with our family members also the communication piece start with how we are also able to talk. And I think it's important when we come to even how we talk with our parents. Some homes, the parents, the younger ones, or when you are young, they don't want to even hear you talk or even say what you're thinking. So you are growing up, they said, children are seen and not heard from. So you don't say your opinion. Your opinion doesn't matter. So sometimes you grow up in that environment. I think that also affects you because you don't share your opinion. When they ask, what is your opinion? You look at them like, are you talking to me? So let's talk about the communication aspect that we learn from our family and how that changes. David Jigbodi.
Oh, yeah, thank you. So when it comes to communication, we learn a whole lot, just like you said, depending on what kind of family you come from. So in the family where, for example, you are not supposed to be heard but seen, you will grow up and then either you'll be too timid to speak or you will not know exactly when to speak and when to be quiet. So like you speak at the wrong times, you speak about the wrong things, you speak about everything because you haven't learned how to control that piece yet. And you have grown up, you are now an adult and you are just a misfit. The other piece is where you are not taught how to speak to different groups of people, what is expected. And thankfully, during our times, that wasn't a thing. It is now that it is kind of a thing. My time, the teacher was not the one who was teaching you how to speak respectfully or something like that. That one, you knew it from home. The teacher was rather teaching you how to come out of your shell but now we are having to do both. Either the child is, although very outspoken, just does not know how to communicate. Even when they are playing, now we have to teach them through play how to speak. So I have children that as soon as they pick the phone to talk to somebody, they start crawling on the phone. I'm like, why do you have to crawl on the phone? They say, give me my change. No, you need to, no. So now we have to teach how to speak. If you are speaking to somebody on the phone, this is how you do it. You know those things. But when I was growing up, we had an opinion. And I just didn't like it because we're different from most children. But now I see the use. So for example, if I and my younger sister had a fight while my parents were away, when they come back and they hear it, they'll have something like a tribunal. I call it a tribunal. We have to sit and everybody will be asked, okay, so you tell your side of the story. So what happened? Then this person. So when I was a child, it used to be so annoying to me. I'm like, this man is a lawyer and he comes home and he comes to play his law on us or what? Like something that you can just say, you can tell that this person is wrong, right? And as a parent, I'm expecting you to just tell this person, you are wrong and you are this. No, they don't do that. You have to talk it through until the person who is wrong realizes that they are the one who is wrong. Now I see the merit in that. It was kind of teaching you to think through things while you're speaking and also to be able to voice out. And I realized that what it did for me was when I was a child, when I'm angry about something, I start crying. And I won't be able to tell you what is happening because I'm crying so much, you can't hear anything I'm saying. But with this practice of after you've done all that crying, you still have to sit and try to articulate what is happening, how you're feeling, and why you're feeling that way. With time, it helped me to know that just crying is not going to solve the issue. And thinking that somebody will have pity on you and go punish somebody on your behalf, it's really not going to work. But now it has helped me, even in my career. You can have a cool head and talk about what is distressing you and what you expect out of it. So these are very, very important skills to learn, especially communication. Even when you are angry, how to communicate even while angry. One more thing I had to learn, I was a bit, a mixture of quick temper and like when I was starting to control the quick temper, then it was the crying, the anger was making me cry. But another thing I had to learn was when you're angry, you wait, you count to 100. After that, you speak. And because I didn't want to count to 100, I walk away. But then they'll not let me be. After, they'll call me back to come and talk about this whole thing. And I have learned that, yes, you can walk away and come back another time. So that also helped with the quick temper, where when I'm angry, when I was a child, when I'm angry, I don't care who gets hurt. Once I'm feeling hurt, everybody has to feel hurt. I'll say all the hurtful things that you can think about on this earth. But I had to learn that, okay, so once you pull those words out, you can take them back. Like one time my mom said, okay, so all the helpful things that you said that has entered the ear, now how do you take it out of the person's system? Now that you have calmed down and you are sorry, now what happens to all those helpful things? So communication is a good thing to learn. And then how to talk to adults, like what is acceptable and what is not. Like right now, some people don't know the difference between talking to your boss and talking to a colleague. And I have a co-worker like that. And sometimes I'm like, So when you need help, you still go to this boss, but you can humble yourself and relate to the boss as a boss until you need the person. How do you expect this person? You are expecting to get promotion on the job like that? And I can't even say it because the person is not a friend, just a co-worker. So I can't say it, but it's something that is clear, like knowing who is above you, how to talk to somebody who is above you, has control and power over what you do and how you do it. And then how to know how to talk to people who are on your level and those who are your subordinates too. How do you relate with them so that although you are not talking down to them, you still have that respect piece. So those are things that we really learn from family, having older brothers, younger siblings, and all of that. It all plays into helping you to learn how to communicate effectively.
Thank you so much, Davi. So communication and family. I love it. I think we underestimate how much we learned from our family that really shaped us in the real life. So fundamentally, we need to be able to train our children to be able to cultivate the skills that they need to be successful in life. So Dr. Prissy, what about you? Communication. How did communication help you, as you are growing up, and how do you see the communication factor playing with your kids and how you deal with them?
Yeah, I grew up in a Christian home, and so my parents were all about respect for people. My daddy, he's a very humble person. My dad is the type of man that you can like insult him today and he sees you the next day and he greets you and smiles like nothing happens. And that's just him. I don't know how he gets to be like that. But ever since I've known him since I was a little girl, he's always been like that. And sometimes my mom is like, what's wrong with you? Was it not the same person that said this and this to you and you're greeting him? Why would you even greet him? See, I'm like more like my mom, because I'll be like, why are you even greeting him? And I remember when I became older, I used to say that to my dad, why are you even talking to this person? Like, and then he just smiles and then he says, it's not about that person, right? It's not even about that person. You just be who you are. If you're kind, if you're honest, you don't let another person dictate how you act. You always, in every situation, you always be who you are. And it was that was so poignant to me, like how he could really keep us calm. And for a long time, Davi, I can relate to you. My mom is very vocal, and my mom is confrontational. My mom will come when my mom sees something. If my mom sees that somebody is treating my dad wrong or doing something that is not fair to him, my mom will go behind him and confront that person. That's my mom. Like, she doesn't play. And I got a lot of that from her. And even though like she wouldn't like just come and do anything, right? She will confront you. She's not going to be disrespectful about it, but she will tell you exactly what she's feeling. And if you get hurt, so be it. I mean, it is what it is. And when I was younger, used to, I used to keep a lot in me. I would not say anything at first. And I give people a long rope until I get up to here, and then I let it out, and it's really bad. Like very, very bad. Like I used to say very hurtful things because you've been doing this and I have not said nothing, and now I can't take it anymore. Right. So that came out very, I mean, I had a situation, and I always like to give specific example. I had a situation where I lost a very dear friend because he did something that I didn't like, and I felt like at a later time I was seeing that again, and I decided, no, you're not going to treat me like this. And I sat back in the days where we didn't have phones, we had letters, right? And I sat down and I poured everything in me in that letter, and it was so bad. And I actually had a friend of mine read that letter. I had two friends, and they looked at it, it was like, Prissy, you shouldn't post this letter. This letter is too much. Don't post it. I said, I'm posting it. I'm going to the post office, and it's going. So actually went to the post office. I left my school to go to the post office at Market Circle, which was quite a little ways because we didn't have postal boxes around, like here, right? So I went to the Action Center and but when I got there were like the post boxes in front of the post office. So I put the letter in there. But as soon as I put the letter in there, I had an epiphany. I said, shoot, I don't think I should send this letter. So, but I had already dropped it in the post box. So I went inside the post office and I told the postman that I just dropped the letter in that box and I want it back. And the postman looked at me like, huh, you already, you already put it in the box? I said, yeah. He said, then it's gone. I said, wait a minute, what do you mean it's gone? I'm looking right at it. He said, see, what you don't know is there's a train underground that as soon as you put the letter in, it goes inside the train and the letter is gone. I said, really? And I was 18 at the time, and I actually believed this story from this postman. So he convinced me, not knowing that he just didn't want to come out and take the letter from me. He wasn't going to go through that trouble. But he told me about this train. I said, so this was the one situation, the one instance that I hoped that the Ghana post office will come through like they do, which is screw up. But they disappointed me because the letter actually got to its destination. I was hoping that Ghana post office will act like they act all the time, screw up so the letter will not get to its destination. And then disappointed me, and the letter got there. And of course, when my friend received the letter, he was dumbfounded because the letter has so many hurtful words in it. And he actually decided that he was so hurt by the letter that he did not want to be my friend anymore. That's how bad it was. And I was feeling a certain type of way that, oh, well, I mean, if we're friends like that, you can't even forgive me and, like continue with the friendship. Like, you really just gonna just walk away because of, some hurtful words. It was not some hurtful words, but like, so, I mean, and that actually taught me that I never ever want to lose a friend like that again, because of how hurtful my words were, right? Like, yes, you're mad. There is a way to still communicate your feelings without the hurt, without the pain, right? And I learned, Davi, that don't address it the same day, the same minute, sleep on it. I had to learn that because I was like, never again will I hurt somebody like that with my words. To hurt them to the point where they don't even be your friend anymore. I mean, that was really, really hurtful to me. I was so hurt by it. I think I ended up hurting more than they hurt because to be the cause of that. And words are so powerful. Like, you could literally talk somebody into crying. You don't even have to hit the person, just by your words. Your words can heal. your words can kill. I mean, the words that you speak to somebody can literally make them jump off a bridge. And
Right.
so I had to learn. I had to learn that very well. And I told myself that going into marriage, I never want my words to be that hurtful to the point where my spouse is feeling like, geez, I don't want to be with you again because your words are so hurtful, right? I didn't want to be in that place ever again. So I really instilled that after I had to learn that first to be able to instill that in my children, such that I watch them the way they behave with their siblings. When they're hurt by their siblings, the words they say to them, I pay attention to that. And when I hear something that is off, I catch it. We gotta check it right now. Because if nobody checks it, the child is going to grow up thinking that it's okay to talk like that. It's okay to say this to my sister. It's okay to say this to my friend. And we do a lot of communication checks in this house. We go through, when somebody does this, you say XYZ. You actually have to teach them these things because believe me, in the schools, they're not teaching them how to talk. Okay. They're not teaching them how to, because a lot of things that they will say to each other at the school that may be okay in the eyes of the parents or in the eyes of that environment are really not okay in the parents' eyes. And so a lot of these things, you got to really check them at the door. And of course, there are also a lot of them that go behind the teacher. The teacher is not seeing anything. And even if the teachers, not with the teachers, not all of them will check a child when they see that the child is being impolite or being, not all the teachers will stop and check a child. Some would, but not all of them. And so the parents, all of it comes back to the parents. The parents got to be the teachers. You are the trainer of your child so that when your child grows, they will not depart from it. But I'd like to know you for your experience too, Davi, how the communication from your upbringing has shaped you now with your family.
Yes. So now I don't know. It's like day and night, really. When I look at where I am now and how I started, it's really, really different. Like I don't know where all that anger went. I know I did pray about it one time. One time my mom had to sit me down and say, you need to pray about this anger. It is a spirit.
Yeah, it needs to go, right? Like, yeah.
Yeah. And it has changed also in the sense that now when I do not like something, I don't just tell myself, oh, it will stop. And that was what I used to do when I was much younger. I just overlook it until I cannot overlook it anymore. And then I blow up like a bomb. But since I learned how to communicate, if I don't like something, I don't just pretend it will go away. I know I have to say something for it to go away. And then another strategy I learned was to think about what you want to say. That's why I like the fact that I said to sleep on it. That's what it means, to think about what I want to say, how I want to say it. And sometimes even write it down and read it yourself and think about it. If somebody said this to me, how will I feel? For example, one of the things I learned was you tell somebody how their actions make you feel without making them feel as though they are bad, but this is how I feel when you do this. Not like you're always bad. You always know this is how I feel when you do this. So the person knows, because sometimes you think people should know. Like when I was growing up, I was like, why won't you know that what you're doing, the person doesn't like it? So we seem to assume, when I was growing up, I seemed to assume that every time somebody did something that I didn't like, it was on purpose. But I grew up knowing that no, sometimes it's not on purpose. It's important to be an advocate for yourself. So I learned to be able to say, okay, I don't like A, Y, and Z. It makes me feel this way, and that way. I would prefer if you do this, this, that. And that has helped a lot. I don't remember the last time I was angry, actually.
Wow.
Help, because you just clear the air and you keep going. And it's interesting. Previously, I used to remember every wrong people do. Like you do it 3 months ago, and as a young child in class 4 can still remember what somebody did 3 months ago. But now it's like I can't remember it. So that means that just talking about it and clearing the air helps you to release it and forget about it. And so that has really helped now. I think now I really love my communication with people, ability to relate. And I'm sure my mom is now very proud of me. She did a good job.
What about you? What about
Thank
you?
you, Davi. And that is important. I always tell my son, you have to own your own emotion. You know, how you feeling doesn't necessarily mean there's the same way people are feeling. So the person who said it, the person who did it, they're already gone. They really are not sharing that emotion with you. So you have to take ownership of your own emotion and really help yourself to deal with the situation as you see fit. My next question I really want us to talk about is, and I think it's important, is that what are some of the things that cause the relationship with our parents? You know, as a parent, you can tell when a child at a certain stage in their life don't even want to talk to the parents anymore. You know, you may not, your child may be young right now, Dr. Kumsi, but you see other parents who say, my child doesn't even want to talk to me anymore. And if that trend continue, that parent will not have a relationship with their children. And that to me is moment of truth. That to me is scary, you know, because the family is the foundation. It is our rescue point. It is a place for rest. It's a place for everything. So if we don't have that family as a support system, then we are flying blind. So how do we help to build that foundation that our children, you know, are always, you know, running to us or always coming to talk to us. So that way they have that bonding relationship with us. And I will start with you, Dr. Kumsi, and then we can go to the David Jigbadi.
Yeah. So it's, gosh, I hope that I don't have to go through that, because it is so scary. I've had so many parents, say, some of whom are my friends, say that you know, especially when their children get to their teenage years, they just like to be by themselves in their room, whether they're girls, whether they're boys, they all exhibits these behaviors. And I wonder if there's anything that the parents can do while they're younger to make sure that doesn't happen. Or doesn't matter, does it even matter what you do? And I was telling one of my friends, I said, maybe while they were growing up and they started to have some time to themselves, maybe you just letting them have the time to themselves. And yeah, maybe sometimes they need time to themselves, but it shouldn't be a situation where it's okay with you that they locked up in their room for, you know, 4, 5, 6 hours, and you know, and that happening all the time, because then it becomes a pattern. And I'm so conscious of that anytime I see my children, that my middle child, she's the one that I can see that if I don't check that's going to happen, because she likes to spend time on the computer. She gets so much into these games, and she wants to spend time, you know, on her own, just focusing on the game, while the other two like to be around each other, right? Even when they're playing the games, they like to be together. So I am actually paying attention, because I said, this is so scary. I don't even want that to happen. So anytime I see that she's missing, I go right, and I'm paying attention all the time. If I see that she's come up missing for even a half hour, I'm going to get her from her room, come to the living room with your sisters, and you all can play together. You all can. I'm just so scared of that happening, because, and not all of it is bad, right? Like sometimes they truly just want time away and they just don't want. But I just can't imagine a situation where your child doesn't even want to talk to you because they just want to be on their own. They just want to be on their own, and that's tough. And I feel like if the parents can catch it and intervene at an early age, I feel that it may make some difference, because I can see situations where parents are working so much, the man is gone, the woman is gone, and the kids are mostly on their own. That develops a lot. I see that trend with parents who work a lot, because I see when parents are with their kids more, the possibility of that happening is less. Not that it cannot happen at all. And so I think that for me, I mean, when I was growing up, that was not even possible. You couldn't just, I mean, look at how Ghana is. You can't spend time alone like that. Like there's always something happening. The doors are always open. People coming through all the time. Everything is always playing. Everybody can see everybody. Like you can't just lock yourself in your room like that. Like plus you have to go help mama in the kitchen. So that opportunity was not even there for you. But over here, there's so much opportunity for the children to just lock themselves up in there because they don't go anywhere. We're keeping them at home. We're keeping them in the four corners of the house all the time. What else are they gonna do? Right? So we, the parents, have to find engaging ways for them so that they're not spending too much time alone. Like that I think that's a checkpoint right there. Not to let them spend too much time. That scares me. Every time I see my middle child head to her room, sometimes when I see her going, I say, come back, go over here. I just can't. But yeah, I for me, I think that while I cannot relate to it while I was growing up, I think that I can definitely learn some things from my friends who are going through that. Because some of them will tell me that, we just work too much and we just never really had time. And now this is our punishment. This is the price. And so you do whatever possible to stay very, very close and get involved with the children.
Thank you so much, Dr. Kumsi. David, buddy, what do you see? How do we go about fixing this problem? Because it is a problem.
Yeah.
It's scary, but it is real.
Yeah. It's interesting, Dr. Prissy can't relate to it. That's good. I could relate to it. So growing up, my parents were the coolest. We will be sitting by the fireside. They'll be telling us stories every evening. And the most favorite times was when the lights were off. That was the nicest time to just be cozy and listen to these Anansi stories and stuff. And then on we went, and then teenage years kicked in. And they were still the coolest parents because our friends were always welcome into our home and they always entertained them. They were friends with all our friends. In fact, at a point, we were jealous. Like, do these people come to visit us or to visit our parents? Like, they know them and they even know their parents and everything. And then I realized, like, when I was in high school was when my mom came on retirement. Okay, those days, I didn't know much about menopause and its stuff. But what I realized was my mom had changed. Like, it was just all of a sudden, it's like she had flipped on us or something. She was so irritable. Every little thing you did, okay, what I realized was she was always shouting about something. She was always angry about something. I'm like, what in the world is this? Meanwhile, she's telling us she's going on early retirement so she can spend more time with us, right? And we thought this was a good thing. She quit her job just to come and be shouting at home. What is this? I wish you would go back to her job then. And it's like she was always irritable, always. And then her dressing changed too. Like she used to be all covered and things. Now she was in shorts and not knowing that was hot flashes. I didn't know then. Now I know. Okay. So then my brothers were now getting upset. They're like, why is this woman shouting all the time? She seems to find something wrong all the time. She used to be full of praise. Now she doesn't see anything good. Like when you do something good, she doesn't say anything. All she's doing is shouting. The only thing that didn't change though was friends coming over. When they come over, she's her normal self again. As soon as they leave, she's back to the shouting self. So at that point, we didn't want to be around her and all that shouting. So we were kind of like trying to, and then the thing was, you were not allowed to go to anybody's house. Everybody had to come to your house to play. That was another thing that we grew up with. So we had grown up not knowing how to visit other people. But, well, it's been 20 years of menopause. I didn't know menopause could keep that long. But it gets better and then it gets worse. It gets better and then it gets worse like that. So at a point when I was in college, then I realized what was going on. She wasn't just trying to be crazy or mean or something. It was menopause. So now we're trying to be nicer to her because we realized that it could just be hormones getting in her way. And really, this is not a time for us to be shunning her, trying to stay away because she's going to shout or something. We started being nicer and more understanding. So I think sometimes what drives children away is like our attitude, all this shouting and all this craziness and all this irritability. But well, as women, we just have to try. So, Dr. Prissy, when you are going through the change, just remember, when you feel like shouting, you might have to reconsider. That could make them run away from
Thank you so much, Davi. I really like that perspective, because I don't think we even think about it. I don't think we think about the menopause stage and the hormonal imbalances that comes into place and our emotions. As women and as family members, and I think it's important to moment or two to realize how that affects us. For me in particular, I think my personality and our personalities also, as women, we have a very unique personality. Some people by nature are very warm and welcome. They want people around them, and some people are cold by nature. So your kids would know that my mom don't play. And that is, I think that is an important dynamic for us to really go through that when we are dealing with our family. Because if you know your personality from a very on stage, you let your child know, so that your child doesn't, because children learn. They were like, oh, my mom, like, I remember one of the kid in the neighborhood told another parent that you are mean. That parent told that woman, said, you can't come to my house because my child don't talk, like children don't tell me that. But that was her personality. And this girl was coming from a home where her mom is not like that. So she said the woman is mean, and I've heard kids who say somebody is mean because they didn't get their way. So because they didn't get their way, they say the person is mean. But sometimes our personalities will come across as being cold, being unwelcoming, being not loving, and all those things our children experience it. And because they are ours, they can't go anywhere else. So they learn to cope, and their coping mechanism is be in my room. If I'm in my room, you can't shout at me. I can't see your face and I can't hear your voice. And so those are the coping things. And like you said, those who work so hard, they are not around anyway. So the kids don't even have to worry about it. But I think we as parents have to realize how our actions really affect our children. And when we realize we are wrong, I think in the Ghanaian culture, we don't know how to say I'm sorry. When we realize that our action is really hurting and damaging our family, we need to have a emergency family meeting and say, you know what, and apologize. Because it is what it is. We need to apologize and we need to ask for help. Ask the family to help you help them. Because if you don't ask for help and you are trying to do everything on your own, like you said, when you guys realize what was going with your mom, now you guys are trying to, help her, and you're not running away from her. You don't want the kids to run away from problem, but at the same time, you want the kids to be able to see the problem for what it is and give them an idea how to deal with it. So I think it's definitely important how we train our children and how they cope with things. So when it comes to family, I think the structure base of the family comes down to appreciation. So what do you teach your children about appreciation? Because I think at the very onset of things, when our children don't learn to say thank you, they don't learn to appreciate things, they learn to expect things, I think it really affects how they deal with everything in their life. So David Jigbodi, please, appreciation. How does appreciation affect how we deal with our family members?
Yes, thank you. I think that Ghanaian parents are good at letting you know that everything you receive is not a right, it's a privilege. And so you learn to be thankful. And it's different from what we are seeing nowadays. Like, we learn to be thankful for the shoes you take to school, it's like we don't feel, when personally I was growing up, I didn't feel like I was entitled to anything. At least I wasn't made to feel like that. I was made to feel that I was loved, and that's why I received these things. Because the thing is, you see a lot of children around you who do not have what you have. So it's easy to be thankful. But in this day and age, and where we are, where there's so much, and there's so much talk about your rights this, your rights that, I don't know how they're doing it now. But we teach kids at school, like, one time I was talking to one of the students. I said, oh, what did you get for Christmas? And then, now we have virtual, so the parents can hear us, right? So this parent, normally you see him seated way behind the child, also on his computer. So he's sideways like this, watching the child. So I said, what did you get for Christmas? That was when we came back from Christmas. And he said, just a Nintendo Switch, he said, just a Nintendo Switch. And then his father heard it and he interjected. He said, oh, did you say just? Just, yeah? Okay. And I said to myself, oh man, I put this boy in trouble. So I started explaining. I said, so did you buy it yourself? Did you work for it? He said, no, my dad bought it. I said, so are you thankful for it? He said, yeah, but I wanted more than that. And so we had that conversation. And I think his father's feeling was actually hurt because he had to speak into my class. That means his feelings were hurt. But sometimes it's because we don't tell the children, we don't let them understand that this is a gift and so and so. And now it has become like a culture where they are expecting XYZ and they've written the list and they don't even know it's dad giving it to them. They think it's Santa or, like we don't make life so real. That is the thing. So they are living in a fantasy world. And so it becomes difficult to see the blessings. But I think growing up, where we grew up, it was easy to know that having shoes for school was a blessing because people came who didn't have shoes or they were tattered and everything. So it was easy to be thankful. And I think nowadays, with all the suicide and things going on, it's important for us to stress gratitude with the children we are raising. Let them know that they are really blessed.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Davi. Dr. Kumsi, please, how do we go about teaching our children appreciation for the values and the things that we put in place?
Yeah, thank you. And thank you, Davi, for that perspective. I think that's interesting. We're hearing a lot in these classes or these virtual classes now, how the dynamics play in these classrooms. And some of the things that I hear, I'm like, wow, these kids, like even some of the things that I hear the kids say to the teachers. And, we're in a society where the teachers cannot really like reprimand, right? They try to be accommodative. They try to be as soft as possible, still telling you that what you're doing is wrong, but in a very nice way. That's not how we grew up. You got checked and you were told how to be appreciative. And you're right, Davi, it was much easier to be appreciative because you saw a lot of children without. You also saw a few children with. And one of the things that my mom made very clear to me, and I thank her for that, because I'm telling you, everything that your parents teach you is a lesson. It's a setup for your future, because everything at that foundation level matters. I remember when I was in, what's class 5? Probably about 8 or 9, maybe about 8 or 9, maybe 8. I went to visit with my auntie. She lived in Tema. And my auntie was married to a rich man. Well, in those days, you call that rich because they had all the things that everybody wanted, right? They had the car, the TV, and they had the color TV when people were watching black and white. They had cars when, a lot of us were walking to school. So in our eyes, that was rich, right? Even though when I look back, I realized that he was not rich at all. But it seemed that way back then. So I went to visit with them, and I got very comfortable there, very comfortable, because everything was there. There was the videos, there were like everything. So when it was time for us to come back home, I told my mom that I wanted to stay here a little bit more. I didn't want to go. I just want to stay here a little bit more. And my mom was like, what? So she had asked my dad to come and get me. And my dad, this is my dad's sister. So when I said I didn't want to go, I wanted to stay here a little bit more, my dad was okay, because that's his sister. He was like, okay. So he went back to tell my mom. I was like, no. It's time for her to come back. I need her in the house to come and help me with stuff. so she needs to come back. And my mom came and got me herself. And I was so upset. I was so upset. Why are you getting me? They have, it's so much that, we don't have, and I don't get to see videos and all that stuff over there. And my mom, oh my goodness, she literally got me out of the car because she really needed to straighten me out. She got me out of the car and she looked in my face, came down to my level like that, and he said, "Let me tell you something, young lady. You don't ever, ever, ever wish that what somebody had is yours, or that what somebody has is better than yours, or ever, ever. I don't care if you go to see somebody, a friend living in a mansion. You just look and you go, and their mansion is none of your business. What you're going to learn how to do is to appreciate what you have. Now, let me ask you something. Does your dad love you? I say, yeah. Does your mom love you? Do your siblings, are you happy at home? I say, yes. Do we let do we let anything go without you getting it? Are your needs met? All of that. I say, yes, yes, yes. Then you learn to be appreciative. And I don't ever, ever want to ever hear that, oh, this person has so much than me, ever. And my goodness, the way she did it, I
You
can't
knew
even
that
I can't
it
even
was
put it into
important.
word, right? And I mean, it got me thinking. It really touched me, right? And so then my next vacation, my dad was like, "Okay, kids, let's get ready. We're going to Auntie's house." I'm like, "No, I don't want to go. I don't. I'm done. I want to stay here with mom." My mom needed a lot of help anyway. My mom was into a lot of things. She was into poultry farming. She was into um making dish detergent. She was a stay-at-home mom and she really stayed busy. She was into gardening. She was into a lot of things. And her house was always beautiful because she has so many flowers and plants, and she was really into that. And I said, I'm going to stay here because there's a lot of things that I could learn from her, and I don't want to go. So that stayed with me, right, to the point where, like, I mean, and it played every time I saw myself grow up, and when I got into situations, even when somebody's situation looked better than mine, I was like, yeah, but it's not mine. So it really, really, really helped me be very appreciative. And I passed that on to my children. Everything that I learned as a little girl growing up, I try to pass that to my children because I've seen the difference it made in me, even as an adult, right? Where my parents are not around. It has already shaped me. It has already shaped me. And that is so important. And my daughter, my middle child, oh my goodness, she does something that I didn't teach her how to do. I think that's just her. She puts, she writes little notes, leaves little notes in the house all the time, sort of little love notes in the house all the time. She leaves it for me, she leaves it for her dad, and she will write these love notes. Like, I thank you so much. I remember when I told her a story about when I was a little girl, I had asthma, and I said I almost died of asthma until my mom found this medicine for me and it helped me live. And she wrote a little note to her mom, I'm so happy you didn't die.
Oh, so nice.
I,
Oh,
I literally woke up to this note on my bed that I am so happy that you didn't die because you're so good to us and I love you so much and I'm so happy that you're still here. Like, that was just amazing. She does this little notes, and even when I reprimand her, she'll write a note and say, I'm sorry. And she does these things. I tell her that you say sorry when you do something wrong. But then to the notes part of it is just, it just melts my heart. And it is just her. She's the only one that does that. Well, Annalie will do it, every now and then, but Benny Jean is the star of love notes. And so I don't miss any opportunity to let them know how appreciative they should be. And when I took them to Ghana for the first time, I got opportunity to show them around a little bit, some of the kids who are less fortunate. Um, and I told them, like, do you guys see the contrast? Like, you guys have so much to be appreciative of, and you better cherish every moment that you have because not every child has this opportunity. So it's really everything that we do now matters. Like, sometimes parents may think that the kids are not listening. Trust me, they listen.
Thank you guys so much. Our time is fast spent. So we will continue with this conversation next week, or with this topic, marriage, relationship, family dynamics, because we think it is something that we need to talk about. You know, it is in our backyard, it is our life, and we need to address it. So we will continue with it, and we will definitely go from there.
Now, are you still there?
Thank you so
Yes,
much.
I'm still here.
Okay.
Sorry
All right.
about that. So Davi, will you please continue? And
Yes.
thank you.
Thank you too. Thanks to everyone for staying with us. Belated Happy Mother's Day. We hope your Mother's Day was exciting. We couldn't come to you on Mother's Day because we're having our own Mother's Day things, right? So hopefully you also enjoyed your Mother's Day. You had a great time, and God bless you for all you do. And we pray that God gives you long life and prosperity so that you see the fruits of your labor. We are thankful to El Shaddai International Market for supporting us, and thankful to Ashan Collections, to Vic Jakes, to Comfort Realty, where you get all your home needs met, to Delatech IT for IT training for those who want to be able to work in the IT industry. Thanks to Lean on Jesus Foundation, and thanks to Elder Esifi and our technical team, and thanks to my wonderful co-host. God bless each of you. Same time next week. We hope to see you on Moment of Truth. Please like and share, subscribe. Also, send us your suggestions. What are some things that you are thinking about when it comes to love, relationships, and family? God bless you. Over to you.
Thank you so much. Dr. Kumsi, do you have some last minute words before we end?
Yeah, I just want to say that in with respect to everything that we've discussed today, I want to say, well, first of all, happy belated Mother's Day, and a big thank you to all the parents out there. You are doing amazing jobs, and we know parenting is hard. Nobody teaches us how to do it, but with the grace of God and with the power of God, we can do this, and we can do this so much better. And if we lack something in parenting and helping guide our children, let's all go to the throne and ask God for the guidance that we need, because we really, really need his guidance in this parenting world.
Thank you so much, Dr. Kumsi. And thank you all for my co-host. And I just want to say a big shout out to our pastor, Pastor Johnny Nkans, and Ansa is now, Maryland is now a region. So we are now our own region. So we just want to say thank you so much. Congratulations to our pastor. And of course, a lot of changes is going to go on. We also want to say our national head, Apostle Amwako. So we are no longer part of the Washington region. We are now Maryland region. So we will definitely tell you as more things developed, and we will definitely let you know. And May 15th is also National Giving Day for youth and Pensa. So if you are part of Church of Pentecost, it's something that we are doing. So definitely reach out to your district, your local, and make sure you give in support of the ministry as a whole. So until next week, thank you so much.
Not yet.
Not yet.
Today is Na's birthday. So happy birthday, Na.
Yes,
Happy
to all the
birthday,
people.
many more.
Thank you. To all the people whose birthday is in May, we wish you all happy birthday.
Thank
Yes.
you.
Thank you, everyone.